I never thought I'd stand at the altar with a bouquet of wilted lilies in one hand and a smartphone in the other, ready to gut my entire future with a single tap. My best friend, the one who'd been my rock since we were 8, had spent months whispering poison into my fiancé's ear while I planned our dream wedding, her texts a digital trail of seduction that made my stomach churn. And in that electric moment, as the organ swelled and 200 guests held their breath, I decided the only vows worth exchanging were the ones she'd scripted for him, word for filthy word. But let's rewind, because this isn't just about the wedding crash. It's about the slow poison of loyalty turned lethal, the kind that festers in the underbelly of American suburbia, where everyone smiles through gritted teeth and secrets are currency. It started in the fluorescent haze of a Seattle coffee shop 6 months before the big day, the kind of place where baristas tattooed their arms with indie band logos, and the air smelled like over-roasted Ethiopian beans and quiet desperation. I was Victoria Hale, 32, mid-level marketing exec at a tech startup downtown. The girl who'd clawed her way out of a trailer park in Tacoma with nothing but a community college degree and a chip on my shoulder the size of the Space Needle. I'd met Ethan Cartwright 3 years earlier at a Mariners game. Him in his crisp button-down, me spilling craft beer on his loafers during a 7th-inning stretch foul ball. He laughed it off, bought me a replacement pint, and that was that. Sparks, stolen kisses in the bleachers, and a whirlwind romance that felt like the rom-com I'd binge-watched to escape my dead-end shifts at the mall. Ethan was the real deal, tall, broad-shouldered, with that easy Midwestern charm from his Chicago roots, now transplanted to the Pacific Northwest as a software engineer for Amazon. We bonded over bad horror flicks on rainy Sundays, hikes up in the Cascades where he'd pack artisanal charcuterie that made me feel fancy, and dreams of ditching the rat race for a cabin on the Olympic Peninsula. He proposed on a ferry to Bainbridge Island, down on one knee amid the salt spray and screeching gulls, ring glinting like a promise. I said yes without a second thought, because in a city where tech bros ghosted you after one swipe, Ethan felt like stability wrapped in serendipity. Then there was Lila Voss, my ride or die since elementary school dodgeball days. We grew up in the same rundown neighborhood, her in a split level with a drunk dad, me in the double wide with a mom who chain-smoked menthols and worked doubles at the diner. Lila was the firecracker, blonde curls, sharp wit, the girl who talked her way out of detentions and into boys' pants. She'd always been the prettier one, the bolder one, but I'd never minded. She lifted me up, made me laugh through the braces and the braces off awkward face. We lost touch in college, me grinding through psych classes at Pierce, her flitting to UCLA on a partial scholarship she squandered on parties, but reconnected when she blew back into Seattle 5 years ago, single and sparkling like she'd swallowed a disco ball. Victoriana, she'd squealed at our first happy hour, hugging me so tight my ribs ached. God, you look fierce. Ethan's a lucky bastard. And just like that, we were the unbreakable trio. Girls' nights at dive bars in Capitol Hill, double dates where Lila flirted harmlessly with Ethan to keep things spicy, and late-night texts about everything from menstrual cramps to career fuck-ups. She was my maid of honor, for Christ's sake. I trusted her with my life. Or so I thought. The first crack appeared in April, 2 months into wedding planning. Ethan and I were knee-deep in Pinterest boards, rustic venue in the woods, craft cocktails with edible flowers, a playlist heavy on Fleetwood Mac and Hozier. Lila tagged along to vendor meetings, her input gold. Ditch the poofy dress. Vic, go sleek like that Kardashian vibe. But one night, after a bachelorette scavenger hunt that left us giggling in an Uber at 2 a.m., I crashed at her Belltown loft while Ethan worked late. My phone buzzed on her nightstand, his name, a heart emoji. I smiled, thumbing it open, but froze. Hey sexy, that red number you wore tonight? Killer. Lila's got taste. Wish I could peel it off you right now. Miss those legs wrapped around me. It was innocuous enough, a flirty nothing from my fiancé too. Wait, no? The thread scrolled up, and there it was, Lila's reply from earlier that week. Legs like mine. You'd break, Cartwright. But I'd let you try. Drinks Friday? Vic's buried in spreadsheets. My blood turned to ice water. Heart pounding, I scrolled deeper, the glow of the screen illuminating Lila's sleeping face across the room. Weeks of messages, playful at first, then laced with innuendo. Ethan, you're wasted on her. She's sweet, but I'm the adventure. His responses, emojis, deflections, but no hard stops. Haha, don't tempt me. Vic's the keeper. But the temptation lingered, a digital flirtation that made my chest cave in. I didn't confront them that night. I slipped out at dawn, brewed coffee in my own kitchen, and stared at the Puget Sound through fogged windows, wondering if I'd imagined it. By noon, I was rationalizing. Harmless banter, wedding stress, my paranoia from mom's string of cheating husbands. But doubt is a weed. It roots deep. Over the next weeks, I played detective in stolen moments, snooping Ethan's phone during his showers, mirroring Lila's iCloud on a burner app I'd downloaded from a Reddit thread on trust issues. The evidence piled up like Seattle's relentless drizzle. Late-night calls masked as catching up, her dropping by our queen in row house just to borrow a dress while I was at yoga, the way Ethan's hugs lingered a beat too long after she'd leave. One audio clip, buried in her deleted folder, gutted me. Her voice, husky from wine. Come on, Ethan. One kiss won't ruin everything. Vic's too vanilla for you anyway. His laugh, low and guilty. Your trouble, Voss. But the real knife twist came in May, during a weekend getaway to Leavenworth, that Bavarian kitsch town in the mountains where we rented a cabin for bonding time. Lila insisted on coming. Third wheel makes it fun. And for a day, it was beer gardens, polka bands, hikes through pine-scented trails. That night, buzzed on Riesling around the fire pit, she confessed. Not everything, but enough. Remember that hit and run in college, she slurred, stars wheeling overhead. The one where Vic took the fall. Ethan shifted uncomfortably. I froze, beer bottle halfway to my lips. It was our shared ghost, sophomore year, a party at some frat house off campus. Lila, hammered on Jaeger bombs, had backed her beat-up Civic into a parked Beamer, denting the fender bad. Panicked, she'd begged me to say it was me. You're the designated driver. Vic. No one will question it. I did, because that's what sisters do. Community service, a fat insurance hike on my mom's ancient Corolla, a blemish on my record that nearly tanked my internship. I'd carried that weight for her, buried it like a bad tattoo. Yeah, Ethan muttered, poking the fire. Vic mentioned it once. Lila's eyes gleamed, reckless. She covered for me. Always does. But Ethan, you get it, right? Vic's the good girl. Me? I'm the one who lives. She leaned into him then, hand on his knee, and he didn't pull away. Not right away. I excused myself to the bathroom, puked up the wine and betrayal, then scrolled her phone while she snored on the couch. There it was, the secret she'd hidden deeper than the accident. Emails from a lawyer, dated last year. Lila hadn't just flirted, she'd schemed. While I slaved over wedding RSVPs, she'd been feeding Ethan doubts. She's holding you back, babe. That accident? She lies about everything. Planting seeds that I'd been the unstable one. The liar who'd confessed to DUIs that were really hers from UCLA days. And Ethan? He'd bitten, just enough to question, to waver. By June, the wedding loomed like a guillotine. Vendors locked in, dress altered, sleek A-line, ivory silk, honeymoon booked to Maui. But I was unraveling. Sleepless nights in our king bed while Ethan snored, days faking smiles at brunch spots in Fremont. Lila's texts escalated. Tell Vic I'm out of town this weekend. We need alone time. His reply, this is wrong. But yeah, I could have ended it clean. Confrontation in a coffee shop, rings off, therapy sessions billed to Blue Cross. But rage is a different beast, the kind that simmers in traffic jams on I-5, fueled by true crime podcasts about scorned women who burn it all down. No, this betrayal demanded spectacle, the American way. Public, messy, unapologetic. I'd borne her crimes once. Now she'd wear mine. The plan crystallized over a solo run along the Burke-Gilman Trail, Lake Union glittering like shattered glass. I'd hacked the Vows, literally. Our officiant, a hipster Unitarian with a man bun, had emailed the script weeks ago. Sappy promises of forever, edited in Google Docs. I had admin access, but that was too tame. No, I'd splice in Lila's texts, projected on the venue's massive screen behind the altar, synced to the ceremony like a twisted PowerPoint. Guests would see it all, the flirtations, the lies, the moment she typed. Marry her if you must, but fuck me on the side. Ethan caught wind first, cornering me in the kitchen one July evening, rain lashing the windows. Vic, what's with the cold shoulder? Lila says you're stressed. Lila says, I snapped, slamming a cabinet. What else does Lila say, Ethan? That I'm boring? That you deserve better? His face crumpled, guilt etching lines around his eyes. It's nothing. She's just jealous. I shut it down. But he hadn't. The messages proved it. Nights he'd worked late, her Uber receipts to our block. And then the twist that made my blood boil. A bank alert on my phone. $5,000 withdrawn from our joint savings, funneled to her emergency fund via Ethan's login. She'd played him like a mark, whispering sob stories about her abusive ex, me all over again, covering debts she racked up on Vegas weekends. He'd bitten, because deep down, he craved the chaos she peddled, the escape from my vanilla stability. I confronted her alone, at her loft overlooking the market, Pike Place fishmongers hollering below. She answered the door in yoga pants and a cropped tee, smirking like she owned the moral high ground. Vic, what's the drama? I held up my phone, her text glaring. This. All of it. The accident, the money, Ethan. You used me, then tried to steal him. Her laugh was brittle, eyes narrowing to slits. Oh, honey, you think you're the victim? I made you. Dragged your ass out of that trailer park. And Ethan? He's bored. You're the one who lied for me. Took the fall because you're too chicken shit to live real. The words landed like slaps, but I saw the flip. Her scheming mask cracking, revealing the scared girl who'd begged me to lie all those years ago. She wasn't evil incarnate. She was fractured, latching onto men like life rafts, betraying to feel wanted. It almost made me pity her. Almost. Wedding's on, I said, voice steel. But you're walking down that aisle with everyone knowing. She lunged, nails raking my arm, but I shoved her back, storming out into the neon buzz of the city. That night, I coded the script, Python snippets to pull texts via API dumps, format them as vow overlays. Controversial? Hell yes. Ethically gray? Debatable. But in a world where influencers monetized breakups and true crime went viral, my revenge felt poetic, a middle finger to the sisterhood I'd idolized. July blurred into August, rehearsals tense as a tightrope. Lila showed, all smiles and apologies via text. I fucked up. Vic, forgive. But her eyes darted, plotting counters. Ethan pleaded ignorance, swearing he'd cut ties, but I saw the waver, the way he checked his phone when he thought I wasn't looking. Our friends split, half whispering I was overreacting, the other half cheering the girl power takedown. Mom called from Tacoma, rasping through cigarettes. Dump the bastard, baby. Men are dogs. The venue was a reclaimed barn in Woodinville, wine country chic. Fairy lights strung from rafters, long farm tables groaning under farm-to-table spreads, evergreens framing the altar like a Pacific Northwest fairy tale. 200 guests, family from the Midwest, tech colleagues from Bellevue, Lila's ragtag crew of influencers and exes. The air hummed with anticipation, string quartets sawing at Vivaldi as I slipped into my dress in the bridal suite, mirrors reflecting a woman I barely recognized. Fierce, unyielding, an avenger in lace. Lila cornered me there, bridesmaid gown hugging her curves like a dare. Don't do this, Vic. It's petty. He'll leave you anyway. I zipped up, cool as the sound in winter. Petty? You gambled our future on a whim. This is justice. Her flip came swift. Tears, then rage. You think you're better? That accident wrecked me too. Guilt ate me alive. I hit on him to feel something, because you have him, and I have nothing. Pity flickered, but rage snuffed it. You could have asked for help, not stolen it. The procession began, guests murmuring as I walked the aisle on Dad's arm. His grip shaky from Parkinson's, eyes proud despite the divorce scars. Ethan waited, tuck sharp, smile faltering as he saw the steel in mine. Lila flanked him as maid of honor, her bouquet trembling. The officiant cleared his throat, launching into the preamble, love, commitment, the sanctity of vows. My heart thundered, thumb hovering over the remote in my bouquet's hidden pocket. Ethan began his vows, voice steady. Victoria, from the day I spilled beer on you. I hit play. The screen flickered to life behind us, texts blooming in elegant script over wedding florals. Hey sexy, that red number. Gasps rippled through the crowd, head swiveling. Ethan's face drained of color. Lila's mouth gaped like a landed salmon. I took the mic, voice amplified and unwavering. Ethan, my love, I wrote my own vows today, inspired by the ones Lila sent you. The words flowed, her messages verbatim. You're wasted on her. Marry her if you must, but fuck me. The barn erupted, shouts, chairs scraping, mom's horse, what the hell, cutting through. Ethan lunged for the mic. Vic, stop. This isn't. But I pressed on, the final text. Tell her the money was for us. Our future. The withdrawal proof flashed, receipts damning. Lila bolted, shoving through guests, sobs echoing. Ethan grabbed my arm, eyes wild. You hacked us? This is insane. Insane. I wrenched free, bouquet scattering petals like confetti from hell. You let her in. Both of you. Chaos reigned. His family storming out, calling me unhinged. My cousins filming for TikTok, captions already brewing bridal revenge. The officiant stammered, perhaps we pause. No, I said, turning to the crowd, dress pooling like spilled milk. This is the real vow. I won't be your secret keeper anymore. Ethan's plea broke. I love you, Vic. It was a mistake. She manipulated me. But the flip was his. Tears now. On one knee, not for proposal, but desperation. Marry me anyway. We can fix this. The audience split, half cheering my stand, half hissing betrayal of trust. Lila's voice pierced from the back, hysterical. He's lying. I did it for you, to test him. Liar. Savior. Victim. The lines blurred, forcing everyone to pick sides in the wreckage. I hesitated, the twist uncoiling in my gut. In the frenzy, I'd glimpsed an email on Ethan's phone earlier, not to her, but from a PI he'd hired. Not on Lila, but on me. Digging into the accident, the lies I'd buried. He'd known, suspected I'd covered for her, and used it to justify his dalliance. Birds of a feather, his note read to a buddy. We'd both schemed, both flipped for self-preservation. The rain started then, drumming the tin roof like Judgment Day applause. I looked at him, the man I'd loved, and saw the mirror. Two fractured souls, dragging each other down. No, I whispered, Mike catching it for posterity. We're done. I walked out alone, into the downpour, guest stares like spotlights. Lila caught me at the car, drenched and defeated. Vic, I'm sorry. For everything. The final twist, forgiveness or oblivion. I handed her the keys to my spare Civic, the one I'd driven through that hit-and-run lie. Take it. Start over. But leave us alone. She drove off into the night, taillights fading like a bad dream. Ethan? He texted once. You win. But was it worth it? Was it? The internet exploded. Op-eds on toxic femininity, podcasts debating if I'd gone too far. My Insta flooded with DMs from women who'd walked similar aisles. Job offers dried up, friends ghosted. But in the quiet of my empty apartment, overlooking a city that never sleeps on its sins, I felt free. Not happy, not tragic, just raw, American real. Revenge isn't a fairy tale ending. It's the scar that teaches you to wield the knife yourself. And in the end, who was the villain? Me, for the spectacle? Lila, for the betrayal? Ethan, for the weakness? Or all of us, chasing highs in a low-trust world? You decide. The fallout hit like a Pacific squall, swift, soaking, and impossible to outrun. By Monday morning, my wedding dress was stuffed in a hefty bag at the curb, and my phone was a war zone of notifications. 247 unread texts, voicemails from numbers I didn't recognize, and a viral clip of my vow reveal, racking up 2.3 million views on X. #TextGateWedding. Bride exposes cheating fiancé with savage text read aloud. Blared the thumbnail, my face pixelated but unmistakable, frozen in that altar glare. I called in sick to the office, migraine. I lied to my boss, a perky millennial named Kendra who lived for SoulCycle and passive-aggressive Slack threads. Truth was, I couldn't face the water cooler whispers, the side eyes from colleagues who'd RSVP'd with +1s now ghosting my friend requests. Seattle's tech scene was incestuous, one viral scandal, and you were either a meme or a pariah. I chose the latter, holding up in my queen and walk up with a six-pack of Rainier and a laptop churning through damage control. Ethan's first post-mortem call came at noon, voice gravelly from crying or scotch. I didn't ask. Vic, Jesus. My parents flew back to Chicago at dawn. Mom called you a crazy bitch. Dad just stared. Good for them. I muttered, cracking a beer, the hiss echoing my hollow chest. How's Lila? A pause, heavy as the Olympics fog. She texted me. Says you're the one who pushed her to it. years of enabling, then flipping when it suited you. Classic Lila. The flip, the blame shift, turning predator to prey with a single sob story. I'd seen it before, in high school when she cheated on her chem test and pinned it on the mean girl proctor. But this time, it stung deeper, because part of me wondered if she was right. Had I enabled her chaos, worn her crimes like a hair shirt to feel needed? Tell her to save it for therapy, I said, hanging up before his pleas could worm in. Love's a drug, and withdrawal was kicking my ass. Nights replaying his laugh, days catching whiffs of his cologne on throw pillows I'd meant to burn. By Wednesday, the media circus rolled in. A local Fox affiliate cold called, producer gushing about empowerment angles. I declined, but not before a true crime podcaster DM'd. Victoria, this screams betrayal blueprint. Interview. Curiosity 1. I tuned in that night, curled on my couch amid takeout Thai containers. The host, a gravel-voiced ex-cop named Harlan, dissected it like an autopsy. Hale's move? Genius theater. But was it justice or just another layer of deceit? She admitted covering for Vows, complicity in the hit and run. Who's the real villain here? Complicity. The word lodged like a fishbone. That accident wasn't just a dent, it was my albatross. After the crash, I'd scrubbed the scene with bleach and lies, court date looming like a storm cloud. Mom had bailed me out, literally scraping tips for the fine, while Lila partied on, acing midterms with my borrowed notes. I'd gambled my clean slate for her freedom, thinking loyalty was currency. Now, it felt like theft. A knock rattled the door Thursday, UPS, or so I thought. It was Kendra, my boss, clutching a bottle of Pinot and a pity smile. Girl, the office is a shit show. Half want to crown you queen, half think you're HR nightmare fuel. We cracked the wine on my balcony, city lights twinkling like distant judgments, and I spilled. The texts, the money, the accident buried deeper than nuclear waste. She whistled low. Damn, Vic. That's not revenge, that's reckoning. But Ethan's been blowing up my DMs. Says he'll sue for defamation if you don't retract the video. Lawsuit. The word ignited fresh fury. I pulled up his latest email, forwarded from the shared honeymoon fund. Consultations with a Bellevue attorney, notes on invasion of privacy and emotional distress. But buried in the attachments? Screenshots of his PI report, not just on the accident, but on me. Bank statements from my side hustle years ago, ghostwriting college papers for cash under the table, a misdemeanor ethics violation I dodged by changing my name on the freelance sites. He dug, weaponized my skeletons to justify his own. The flip was mutual, a toxic tango. Ethan wasn't the innocent mark. He'd courted the drama, dipped into the slush fund knowing it was our nest egg, all while preaching fidelity at couples counseling. I was testing boundaries, he'd say later, in one of our post-mortem coffee shop ceasefires. Boundaries, my ass. It was entitlement, the tech bro delusion that rules don't apply when you're stressed. Lila resurfaced Friday, uninvited, at my door with a duffel and dog eyes. Can I crash? My landlord's evicting. Back rent from that bullshit I fed Ethan. I blocked the threshold, arms crossed. You mean the $5,000 you siphoned? Her lip quivered, the actress emerging. It was for us, Vic's startup idea, a boutique for plus-size activewear. You always said I should chase dreams. Dreams. Hers had always been my nightmares. The time she borrowed my identity for a credit card binge in Vegas, maxing it on slots and leaving me to eat ramen for months. Or the DUI she pinned on a coked-up boyfriend, forcing me to vouch in court, my voice shaking as the judge eyed my straight-a transcript. I'd covered, because blood was thicker, or so the lie went. But this? Stealing my future? No. Get out, I said, voice flat as the sound on a calm day. Or I post the rest. The voicemails, the nudes you sent him disguised as jokes. She recoiled, then fired back. You destroy me? After everything? I made you fun. Vic pulled you from that trailer trash hell. The words sliced, but I saw the scheme. Divide and conquer, flip me back into protector mode. You made me strong, I countered. Strong enough to walk away. She left with a curse, but not before slipping a USB into my mailbox later that night. Insurance, the note read. Clips of Ethan, drunk and confessional. Vic's too good for this world. But Lila, she's fire. I need both. A Hail Mary to paint him the victim, her the seductress, me the unwitting fool. I didn't watch it all. Instead, I drove to the cabin in Leavenworth, the one from our bonding trip, keys still on my ring from the rental agreement. Rain slicked the windshield as I wound through the pass, evergreens looming like silent witnesses. Inside, the fire pit cold, I built a blaze and fed it the USB, the dress bag, Ethan's old mariner's jersey. Flames devoured the lies, smoke curling up the chimney like exorcised ghosts. Back in Seattle by dawn, clarity sharpened. The revenge high had crashed, leaving questions. Was exposing them cathartic, or just performative cruelty? Readers on Reddit split. r/am with asshole crown me NTA, but r/relationships called it mutually assured destruction. No winners. My therapist, a no-nonsense black woman named Dr. Reese with an office in Pioneer Square, put it blunt in our emergency Zoom. You reclaimed power, Victoria. But power without grace. It's just another cage. Grace. The word haunted as August bled into September. Ethan filed for small claims, emotional damages. He claimed the wedding deposit we'd lose. Lila ghosted, but rumors swirled. Crashing on ex's couches, pitching that activewear scam to VCs with my origin story twisted into inspiration. And me? I quit the startup, cashed my 401k for a sabbatical, decamped to a sublet in Ballard with harbor views and zero baggage. Reentry was brutal. Grocery runs where strangers whispered, "Aren't you that bride?" Dates? Forget it. Bumble bios screaming, "No drama queens." But in the quiet, I rebuilt. Runs along the locks where salmon leaped like rebirth. Journaling the unvarnished truth, the accident's guilt, my enabling patterns, the thrill of the takedown that scared me most. One crisp October eve, walking Magnolia Bluff as freighters horned in the strait, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Lila's voice, tentative. "Vic? I'm in rehab. Wenatchee, 30 days. The lies. They caught up. Rehab. The flip again. Rock bottom to redemption arc. Good for you." I said, no warmth, no ice. I told them everything. The accident, Ethan, the money. Cops might call, reopen it as fraud. Fraud. My stomach nodded. Statutes of limitations be damned. Truth had teeth. Handle it. A beat. Can we talk? When I'm out. I hung up, the bluff wind whipping my hair. Talk. Or torch the bridge for good. Ethan's next move came via certified mail, settlement offer, half the deposit back if I deleted the video. Attached, a letter, handwritten, ink smudged like tears. I flipped because I was scared. Vic scared you'd see the real me. The guy who cheats when cornered. But you? You're steel. I don't deserve you. But I'd fight for a fraction if you'd let me. Steel. Or shattered glass, reflecting back the cuts we'd inflicted. I burned the letter too, but kept the check. Practicality over poetry. By November, the scandal faded to footnote. Textgate supplanted by election bile and celebrity splits. I landed freelance gigs, content strategy for eco-brands. My story a sanitized hook. Resilience through reinvention. Friends trickled back, the loyal core. Kendra with brunches at Le Pichette, my cousin Mia with escapist Netflix marathons. But the twist lingered, that alter hesitation when Ethan's plea hung in the air. What if I'd said yes? Forgiven the flip, rebuilt on ruins? Or was the real revenge walking away, owning the mess without apology? Thanksgiving loomed, Mom's call crackling from the trailer. Bring a man, Vic. Or at least pie. I laughed, first real one in months. Just me, Ma? In truth, that's the feast. As snow dusted the sound, I stood on my balcony, city aglow, wondering if grace meant absolution or just better boundaries. Lila out in 2 weeks, Ethan, radio silent. Me, untethered, a first-person narrative unfinished. The debate? Still raging in my head. Who's right in the revenge reel? The betrayed who strikes, the betrayer who breaks, or the fiancé who falters? In America's gray zones, maybe we're all just flipping coins in the dark. December crept in like a hangover. Gray skies, holiday lights strung defiant against the gloom, and a chill that seeped into bones you thought were unbreakable. My sublet in Ballard smelled of pine from the tree I'd half-assed decorated with thrift store ornaments, a solo Yuletide ritual that felt less lonely than liberating. The video had hit 10 million views by Black Friday, spawning copycats. Brides ditching doily favors for data dumps, grooms grilling side chicks on Snapchat stories. I was the accidental icon, dubbed Val Victoria, in a New York Post spread that painted me equal parts heroine and harpy. Revenge porn or radical honesty? The subhead pondered, leaving commenters to brawl in the replies. Dr. Reese and I dissected it weekly, her office now in person, the scent of patchouli and Puget Comma balm. You're processing the split, she said, steepled fingers over her desk blotter. But the controversy? It's your shadow self, the part that craves the stage. Shadow self. Freudian flair for my mess. Truth was, the exposure had unmasked us all. Ethan's PI digs revealed not just my ghostwriting gigs, but a deeper flip. He'd suspected my perfect resume was padded, using Lila's chaos as cover to bail without guilt. Cognitive dissonance, Dr. Reese called it. I called it bullshit, but it stuck, a splinter under the skin. Lila's release day dawned crisp, frost etching the ferry windows as I debated crossing to Kitsap for pickup. Rehab had polished her, sober eyes, hair in a neat bob, AA chip jingling like a talisman. Against better judgment, I went, not for absolution, but closure, the kind served black with no sugar at a waterfront diner in Bremerton. She slid into the booth, hands twisting a napkin into ropes. Vic, you came. Neutral ground, I said, ordering coffees. Hers decaf, mine black as my mood. The place hummed with Navy vets and retirees, formica tables scarred from decades of hash and hard talks. She dove in, script memorized. I flipped everything, told the group about the accident. Ethan, you. Made amends lists a mile long. Tears welled, genuine this time. No mascara runs for effect. I was scared. Always have been. Dad's rages, Mom's ghosting. You were my safe harbor. Then I poisoned it. The confession cracked something in me. Not forgiveness, but recognition. We'd both been trailer park survivors. Her fire my water, extinguishing and evaporating in turns. Why Ethan? I asked, voice low over the clatter of plates. Of all the ways to burn us. Her shrug was small. Jealousy. You had the ring, the plan. I had hangovers and hookups. Thought if I could snag him, I'd snag your life. Snag my life. The audacity twisted fresh, but so did the pity. Her schemes, elaborate flips from victim to vixen, all to outrun emptiness. And the money? The lies to the cops. She slid a manila envelope across. Restitution check, $5,000 plus interest, and a notarized statement to authorities. Full confession, my name cleared retroactively. It's done. Fraud charges pending, but I'll take the hit. No more covering. The envelope weighed like lead, secrets transmuted to paper. I pocketed it, the diner's bell jingling as a family bundled in, laughter cutting the tension. This doesn't fix us, Lila. Sisters don't steal futures. I know. Her voice broke. But can it start something? Coffee sometime. No strings. I stood, zipping my parka against the wind off the straight. Maybe. When I'm ready. Driving back, the envelope burned a hole in my glove box. Cleared name meant paperwork, DMV updates, credit repair, but more, freedom from the lie I'd worn like ill-fitting armor. That night, I called Mom, spilling over cordless landline static. The accident. Lila owned it. Cops might call you too. Her rasp chuckled. About time, kiddo. I always knew. Raised you to carry, not crumble. Carry, not crumble. The mantra stuck as holiday invites trickled. Kendra's ugly sweater bash, Mia's potluck where we'd roast chestnuts and X's. I went to the first, nursing spiked eggnog, deflecting so, wedding, with wry grins. Traded vows for viral fame. You. Laughter rippled, but eyes lingered, admiration laced with wariness. Was I the empowered icon or the cautionary tale? The debate echoed in Ethan's Christmas Eve email, a olive branch wrapped in regret. Saw your post piece. Proud of you, even if it guts me. Maui's booked solo, want the miles? No strings, just peace. Peace. The word tempted, a ceasefire in our mutual assured madness. I replied neutral, miles appreciated. Peace. Working on it. Attached, the PI report I'd printed, annotated with my side. The ghostwriting born of diner tips, not deceit. A survival flip in a system stacked against girls like us. New Year's loomed, Seattle's fireworks a promise of resets. Lila texted coordinates. New Year's sober dance at a community hall in Georgetown, industrial chic with disco balls and decaf punch. I almost bailed. Why tempt fate? But curiosity, that old cat killer, pulled me in. The hall pulsed with recovery rhythms, folding chairs scraping to Springsteen covers, faces lit with tentative joy. She spotted me, weaving through with 2 plastic cups. Root beer float. Non-alcoholic. We danced, awkward at first. White girl shuffles to dancing in the dark, then looser, laughter bubbling as she spun me under the lights. Remember prom? She yelled over the bass. You in that thrift gown, me spiking the punch. How could I forget? Got us grounded for a month. Her grin faded. I owed you then. Still do. The song shifted to something slower. U2's, With or Without You. And the crowd paired off. Lila extended a hand, platonic. Truce dance. I took it, the flip feeling final. Not erasure, but evolution. We swayed. Her head on my shoulder, whispers of amends mingling with the melody. Ethan called me last week, she murmured. Wants to talk. I said no. Good. Simple, sufficient. Outside, confetti swirled in the chill, the Space Needle's torch blazing distant. Happy New Year, Vic. You too. No hugs, just nods, boundaries etched in frost. January thawed the ice, freelance turning full-time. A gig at a nonprofit for at-risk youth. Channeling my scars into scripts on navigating betrayal without breaking. Pay was shit, but purpose? Gold. Ethan surfaced once more. Coffee at the original Mariners spot, neutral turf, hot dogs, and nostalgia. He looked older, lines etched from boardroom battles and bar tabs. Therapy's kicking my ass, he admitted over foam peanuts. Learned I flip under pressure. Cheat to cope, like dad with mom's affairs. The confession disarmed, humanizing the monster I'd memed. I flipped too, I said. Exposed to reclaim, but it scarred everyone. We talked hours, Maui miles redeemed for a solo Kauai retreat, where I'd hiked Napali cliffs, waves crashing like catharsis. No rekindle, just release. Rings returned, accounts untangled, a post-nup of platonic peace. By spring, the story cycled full. Lila's activewear line launched modest, Vows and hail threads. My name invoked with permission, a nod to the harbor we'd shared. No partners, just product, leggings for warrior women. I wore a pair to the launch pop-up in Pioneer Square, her eyes lighting as I browsed. Fits. Like armor. We grabbed faux after, broth steaming with unspoken vows. No more secrets, no flips without flags. The final twist? It came in June, anniversary month, a manila from the DA. Case closed, no charges, statute lapsed. But Lila's confession cleared my record clean. Enclosed, a letter from her, pinned in rehab script. We both carried crimes, Vic. Yours for me, mine for us all. Twist is, forgiving sets us free. Debate over, who's right? Everyone, eventually. I framed it, not for walls but memory. The altar crash, the flips, the reckoning. Summer bloomed, Seattle's rare sun gilding the sound. Dates dotted my calendar. Not Ethan 2.0, but explorers. A brewer from Fremont with tattooed knuckles, a teacher from Vashon who quoted Neruda over IPAs. No rush, no rings. Just me, Victoria Hale, first-person proprietor of my plot. Revenge retold as redemption, controversial to the core, but mine. In the end, the reader split? It mirrors life. No pure villains, just flawed flips in the American dark. Happy? Tragic? Or the gritty in-between, where we rise, scarred but standing? You tell me.